Zion, if Zion comes home one day and say, Dad, I'm gay, or Dad, I'm this, I'm that, what are you going to do, sir?
That's real.
And so what I did at 3, when Zion was 3, is I prepared myself and I looked in the mirror and I said, yeah, what are you going to do? Because you in a locker room where all the guys use is nothing but you gay, you this, you that, you home, whatever. So I'm in that locker room every day. What are you going to do, sir, when if your child comes home and say, Dad, sorry, I don't want no parts of basketball. I don't want no parts of your life. This is my life, and this is how I am. How are you going to do it?
You thought about that at 3?
I thought about that at 3 years old.
When did Zaya have that conversation with you?
8 years old, 5 years later.
Okay, so here's my question, right? Because that was important. I just kind of explained to you how I feel about my kids, right? There's an obsession with my children that's probably unhealthy, right? And so as soon as I heard about Zaya, I started paying attention. I became Monday morning father, right? And I said, this is what I do. This is what I'd feel. This is what I would say. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you, bro. Everything that you did had nothing to do with the thoughts that I had. And you made me check myself, right? Because I claim I love my kids, right? I claim I support my kids. And I'm watching another man who I admire, right? Another man who's lived a life not only on the court but off the court that is to be emulated, do things differently than I would as a parent. And then, very recently, I looked at your child, right? I looked at Zaya, and I know the only thing that we want to do is to see our children smile, right? But what I also realized, I was like, so he's been loving, he's been supportive, he's become a champion beyond his child, and I said, and it's looked easy. I can't believe that it was easy. So can you kind of take us on the journey, because we see the destination, take us on the journey from finding out, from Zaya saying, Dad, this is who I am, to seeing D Wade on talk shows, D Wade being a champion for not only for his daughter, right, but for anybody who looks at Zaya and says, you know what, that's what I hope to have.
Growing up in the inner city of Chicago, in the hood, you're told that boys do this. Boys play football, boys play basketball, boys play baseball, boys date girls, whatever the case may be. You're told this is what you do, right? So I'm no different. I'm raised that way. I'm in the locker room. I say all the things that everyone is saying. I'm not sitting up here like I have never done or said anything, right, when it comes against the opposite sex, because I was ignorant. I didn't understand.
Right.
When it hit my doorstep at 3 years old, like I said, when me and my wife looked at each other, right? And the reason we looked at each other is because of this, you know, as kids, I used to put on heels. I used to do all those things. I try to put on whatever my sisters wear. When all my sisters did, I try to do those things. So at first I said to myself, oh no, I did that. So I ain't just doing the things that I did. And then it kept going further and further. And then me and my wife had to look at each other and say, well, what if? And at that moment, everything that I was taught went out the window, because now I'm a parent. And my sole job and my sole responsibility is to make sure that this kid grow up knowing that it's supported and is loved by his father and the other parent, right? That's my only job. And so when it came down to Zaya, at 3 years old, I looked at it and said, okay, D, I looked in the mirror. And now, not only did I look in the mirror, when I went in the locker room, I started changing the way I talked. I started changing how I listen to things, and I started challenging people in a different way. Once I started to ask questions to my white friends, because I've never been, at that time, no one is in the NBA or play basketball has never been openly gay.
Right.
I've never had a conversation with
even in
anybody
our
that
locker
was
room.
openly in our locker room. So I was ignorant when it comes to this space. So when my child came home at 8 years old, we were living in Chicago at the time after I left Miami, which we talked about. My child came home, and the reason my child didn't come home, it was an assignment that was done at school. An assignment at school would say, tell me about yourself. And this was the time where Zaya took the time to say, I'm black, I'm this, and I'm gay. At the time, Zaya said, I am gay. So the teacher called home.
At 8 years old.
At 8 years old. The teacher called home and said, hey, I just want you guys to know we post these all over the school, but we didn't want to post this if you guys didn't blah, 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 right? So we sat down with the teacher and talked about the teacher at that time was a gay female.
Okay.
Gave Zion the confidence.
That's a blessing.
To be able to say those words. So when we sat down and I was in the room across the way, I prepared myself for 5 years for that moment, not knowing what I was going to do or say. When Zaya sat down with me and was across the way, just like me and you are right now, Ryan, I'm looking at my child. I don't care about anything else. I'm looking at my child, and I'm looking at my responsibilities. I'm looking at a child that's crying, that's afraid to tell their father.
Wow.
That they're different than what you probably thought I was, Dad. I don't want to play basketball. I don't even want to be, I'm not a boy. I feel that I am X, Y, and Z, right? I'm looking at my child scared to tell me. And I feel like I am pretty open at this time. Right. I realized that I needed to do better and I needed to do more and I needed to educate myself. And so what I did is I picked up the phone, I researched as much as I can because I needed to understand. I sat down with my child and I asked questions because I didn't know. Because it's not our job and our responsibility to tell you who you are. You are going to be who you're going to be. It's my job to try to put you in the best positions to help you reach that goal of who you want to be. But it's not my job to tell you. Right. You know what I mean? And right now, we experiencing that with Zaya, my 13-year-old, who last year we came out and we spoke to the world that, hey, my 13-year-old came home and said, Dad, this is who I am. I am a transgender child. And we didn't come out until she was 12 to the world. Mm-hmm. But the reason we came out to the world was because I got tired of trying to hide my child. Right. Taking photos with the rest of my family, not posting Zaya. Because we posted one thing on her birthday and there was so many bad comments that we wanted to hide her from it. Right. But it came to a point where I said, am I hiding her from it or am I hiding myself from it?
That's another huge thing to me, right? Like the first two things